Stars flickered across the black void, stretching into infinity, yet the scanners of the Valerian found only emptiness. Captain Rethan's hands gripped the console, knuckles white, eyes scanning the endless dark. "Nothing," he muttered, though his voice carried a tremor he did not want anyone to hear. "Just space. Empty space." But the map said otherwise. The Valerian was close to the edge of explored territory, where even the oldest records of the galactic archives went silent. Legends spoke of systems lost to time, of civilizations that vanished without a trace, and of a name, humanity. The word alone made even the bravest pause. Nobody dared to speak it openly. "Captain," Lieutenant Yara said, her voice steady but tense. "The anomaly readings are spiking again. I've never seen energy signatures like this before." Rethan leaned over the console, squinting at the holographic display. Swirling blue and green lights danced across the empty void like a ghostly aurora. But it wasn't natural. The readings pulsed in a pattern, deliberate, almost intelligent. He felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen anomalies before, strange phenomena at the edge of known space, but nothing moved like this. Nothing had purpose. "Bring us closer," he ordered, though part of him screamed to turn away. The crew, trained and disciplined, obeyed without hesitation. The ship slid silently through the void, engines muted, sensors straining to read the unknown. Suddenly, the viewfinder lit up. A shadow appeared on the edge of the sensor's range, enormous and silent, drifting like a corpse in the vacuum. The crew froze. The Valerian had been built for battle, exploration, and diplomacy, but nothing prepared them for this. "Identify it," Rethan said, his voice tight. The AI assistant, D9, replied in its calm mechanical tone, "Object size, beyond any known vessel. Material composition, unknown. No life signs detected. Unknown origin." Rethan's stomach twisted. Unknown origin? That can't be right. Yara leaned closer to the display. "Captain, the hull. It's ancient. Millions of years. But it's intact. Fully intact. How is that possible?" A low hum began, faint at first, then growing steadily louder, vibrating through the hull of the ship. The crew looked at each other, unease settling over them like a dark cloud. The hum carried a weight, a presence. It was as if the ship itself had noticed them. The object slowly rotated, revealing its full form. It was massive, dwarfing the Valerian, with an angular design unlike anything in the galaxy. Energy lines pulsed along its surface, glowing with an eerie blue light. On the hull, in symbols that twisted and shimmered like living code, was a name, one that made every trained officer on board shiver. Humanity. Silence filled the bridge. Rethan's mind raced. The stories were true. They had dismissed them as myths, as exaggerations by frightened worlds. But now, here it was. Humanity's mark, carved into the void itself. What do we do?" Yara whispered. "Do we run?" another officer asked, voice shaky. Rethan shook his head. Running would be foolish. Curiosity, fear, awe, he felt all at once. The galaxy had whispered about humanity for centuries, warning that any who encountered them unprepared would vanish. And yet here they were, staring at the impossible. D9's sensors picked up something else. "Captain," multiple smaller objects emerging from the main vessel. Shapes, moving fast. Approaching. Before anyone could react, the smaller ships accelerated with speed no known propulsion could achieve. They moved with precision, circling the Valerian as if studying it. The crew struggled to track them. The hum became a deep vibration in their chests, almost like a heartbeat, steady and unyielding. Rethan swallowed hard. "Open comms," he ordered. "Broadcast a standard greeting. Use caution." Static hissed through the channel. Then, a voice, calm, yet resonating with authority, filled the bridge. It spoke in a tongue none aboard fully understood, yet somehow, the meaning was clear. The voice carried power, warning, and promise all at once. "You should not have come here. But now that you have, we see you. The crew stared at each other in disbelief. A voice from a ship lost to time, carrying a message meant for the entire galaxy. And somehow, it knew them. Rethan's fingers hovered over the controls. Every instinct screamed retreat, but every story, every myth, every warning screamed that the humans, whatever form they now took, were the apex of something no one dared challenge. Prepare defensive systems, he ordered. But, keep the engines ready. We might only get one chance to leave. The hum grew louder, almost painful now. The ship's energy readings spiked. Lights flickered, and the bridge shook. The humans weren't just a story. They weren't gone. They were waiting. And the galaxy's edge had finally revealed its secret. Rethan swallowed hard, eyes fixed on the ancient vessel. For centuries, civilizations had expanded, conquered, and forgotten. But now, the legends were alive. The map of the galaxy ended here, with humanity. And for the first time, he understood why no one dared speak their name. Brace yourselves, Rethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. We are about to meet history, and maybe our end. The smaller ships hovered around the Valerian like predators circling prey, yet their movements were precise, almost elegant. The crew could feel a presence, silent, commanding, and impossible to ignore. Every sensor, every instrument, screamed that this was not an ordinary encounter. Captain Rethan stood frozen, watching the energy lines pulse across the surface of the massive vessel. The hum vibrated through the floor, rising to a frequency that made teeth chatter and hearts pound. Lieutenant Yara's hands shook as she tried to focus on the readings. Captain, their energy, it's off the charts. Nothing we know can match this. Rethan nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. We need to understand them. Not just run. We have to. Before he could finish, one of the smaller ships darted forward, faster than thought possible, and aligned itself directly in front of the Valerian. The ship's surface shimmered, like liquid metal reacting to its surroundings. A beam of energy shot out, scanning the bridge in a pattern so rapid that the crew could barely comprehend it. It wasn't hostile, at least, not yet, but it was studying, analyzing, as if measuring their worth. Report. Rethan barked. Unknown technology, Yara replied. It's probing us, but I can't make sense of it. Shields are holding, but it's adapting in real time. It's learning. A cold dread filled the bridge. Every officer had heard the legends, the myths of humanity's unmatched cunning and strength, but none believed them fully. And yet here they were, a living, breathing testament to those tales. Suddenly, the hum intensified. The massive vessel ahead of them shifted, turning as if it had noticed the Valerian's every move. Then, without warning, a massive shockwave rippled outward. The ship trembled, lights flickering violently, alarms screaming. Crew members clutched consoles and rails as gravity fluctuations threw them to the floor. Structural integrity at 90%, yelled the engineer. Hull stress is rising. We can't withstand another hit like this. Rethan gritted his teeth, refusing to move. Hold steady. Do not provoke it. We observe. That is all. But observation was difficult. The smaller ships moved with blinding speed, zipping around like stars in a storm. They emitted bursts of light that danced across the Valerian's hull, leaving scorch marks and temporary energy distortions. Every officer felt the weight of centuries of fear pressing down on them. Humanity, if this was truly their work, was not just advanced. They were untouchable, an apex the galaxy had never seen. Then, the unthinkable happened. One of the smaller ships shot past the Valerian's bow and vanished in an instant. The sensors screamed, unable to track it. Within seconds, it reappeared behind them, aligning perfectly with the massive vessel as if it had been everywhere at once. Impossible, muttered Yara. They're faster than light, faster than anything we know. How can they move like that? Rethan's mind raced. Every instinct screamed retreat, yet pride, stupid, human-like pride, kept him rooted to the bridge. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for millennia. He suddenly understood why. They weren't just ships. They were strategy, cunning, and firepower woven into a form no one could comprehend. The hum reached a deafening crescendo. The massive vessel shifted again, this time moving closer, slowly but with undeniable power. Its sheer size made the Valerian seem like a fragile insect. Energy lines along its hull flared, forming intricate patterns, almost like a language of light. D9's mechanical voice finally broke the tension. "Captain, the ship is activating an unknown system. Analysis, defensive or offensive. Unable to categorize." Rethan swallowed hard. "All stations, prepare for anything. Weapons on standby, shields at maximum. But maintain observational protocol. Do not engage unless fired upon." Time seemed to stretch. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. The massive vessel remained silent, but the smaller ships circled like a silent storm. Then, a beam of pure blue energy shot from the main ship, splitting the darkness of space, and struck a nearby asteroid. The rock shattered instantly, vaporized into cosmic dust. The force was immense, yet there was no heat, no radiation detectable, just raw, controlled power. The crew could only stare, frozen in disbelief. Humanity's reach was not just in their ships, it was in the control of energy itself, a force the galaxy had never witnessed. "Captain," Yara whispered, voice trembling. We are outmatched. Entirely. We can't fight them. We can barely comprehend them." Rethan's jaw tightened. Fear roared inside him, yet curiosity burned brighter. "We don't run," he said quietly. "We observe. We survive. And we learn. That is our mission." But deep inside, a small, uncomfortable truth gnawed at him. The galaxy had spoken of humanity in whispers, warning others to stay away. For centuries, humans had been a ghost, a legend at the edges of star charts. Now, Rethan realized, legends had teeth. And humanity, whatever form it took now, was hungry to remind the universe of their name. As the Valerian drifted through the void, surrounded by ships that should not exist, the crew felt the weight of history pressing down. They were witnessing the return of something long thought lost. Something unstoppable. Something that could end empires with a flicker of light. Rethan swallowed hard, eyes fixed on the massive vessel. The stars themselves seemed to pale in comparison. The galaxy's map ended here, at humanity's name. And whatever came next would change everything. The Valerian shuddered as the massive vessel moved closer. Every instrument screamed danger, yet every officer on board felt a strange pull, as if the ship itself demanded their attention. Captain Rethan gripped the railing, staring at the pulsing lights on the alien hull. This was no longer a myth. Humanity had returned, and they were waiting. "Captain, sensors are detecting a docking sequence," D9 said. "Unknown mechanism. Ship appears to invite us." "Invite." Rethan's brow furrowed. "No ship of that size simply invites. Something is coming, directly at us." From the shadows of space, a colossal docking arm extended from the human vessel, moving with fluid precision. It was silent, yet its presence was undeniable. The smaller ships, the scouts, darted around like guardians, keeping the Valerian contained. Every movement was calculated, every pulse deliberate. Rethan felt his heart pound. "Prepare for boarding protocol," he ordered. "Non-lethal measures first. We don't know what they want." Yara glanced at him, worry etched into her face. "Captain, we are outclassed. Entirely. Their technology is beyond comprehension. Even a single touch from them could destroy our ship." Rethan nodded, swallowing the fear rising in his chest. "I know. But we are explorers. This is why we came to the edge. Observation is our duty." The docking arm made contact with the Valerian's hull. A vibration ran through the ship, but instead of damage, it was oddly reassuring, like the pressure of a massive hand on a fragile surface. A hatch slowly opened on the human vessel, revealing a corridor bathed in soft blue light. The energy lines from the hull extended into the corridor, forming a pathway, a silent message, "Enter." "Captain," Yara's voice trembled. "Are we really going in?" Rethan's gaze did not waver. "Yes. We must know. We must see. Humanity is not a story anymore. It is real." As the boarding team prepared, the smaller human ships hovered silently, scanning, observing, but offering no immediate threat. The corridor ahead shimmered with energy patterns that seemed alive, shifting like a breathing entity. Every step the team took sent waves of light pulsing across the walls, reacting to their presence. When they reached the end, a chamber opened before them. It was vast, unlike any engineering or command deck they had ever seen. Towers of energy rose from the floor, flowing into the ceiling, forming a lattice of light and power. And there, standing in the center, was a figure, tall, imposing, and strangely familiar. The being's armor glimmered, blue lines tracing intricate patterns, almost like the hull of the ship itself. Its face was hidden beneath a helmet, but its presence radiated authority, intelligence, and a subtle, terrifying calm. "Welcome," the figure said. The voice was human, calm, yet every syllable carried weight, power, and command. "You have come far to witness what others feared. Few do, and fewer survive to tell the tale." Rethan swallowed hard. We are explorers from the Galactic Union. We mean no harm." The figure tilted its head, as if studying him. "Harm? Perhaps. Curiosity? Certainly. The galaxy has forgotten us, has turned our name into a legend. You stand at the edge of history, at the point where humanity's shadow touches the stars once more." The crew could barely comprehend what they were hearing. Every story, every warning about humanity's strength, cunning, and supremacy was true. But the scale, its immensity, was beyond imagination. The figure raised a hand, and the energy lattice responded, projecting images across the chamber. Battles, star systems, fleets falling in seconds. Civilizations lost in the blink of an eye. And then, humans. Humans standing, fighting, building, creating weapons, machines, and strategies beyond the galaxy's comprehension. "They feared us," the figure continued. "They always have. Every empire, every alliance, every star-faring civilization that dared challenge us, they are gone. And yet, we waited. We watched. We hid. Until now." Rethan's mind raced. Every warning, every myth, every story the archives spoke of, the fear, the respect, the caution, made sense now. Humanity was not just powerful. They were inevitable. A force no one could ignore, no one could challenge, no one could defeat. The hum from the human vessel pulsed through the chamber, resonating with every officer on board. Fear, awe, and wonder mingled, leaving them speechless. "Captain," Yara whispered, we are standing inside a legend. Alive. Breathing. Watching us." Rethan nodded slowly, his eyes locked on the figure. "And whatever we see here, will change the galaxy forever." The human being moved closer. Every step seemed to bend reality slightly, energy following its movement like a living aura. "You have questions," it said. "And we have answers. But know this, once you cross this threshold, there is no return. The galaxy as you knew it is over. We will show you why humanity is not to be forgotten. Why our name ends the map. And why no one dares speak it aloud." Rethan swallowed hard. The room seemed to vibrate with power, energy, and history. He realized then that the stories, the myths, the warnings, had all been true. Humanity had returned. Not as explorers, not as diplomats, but as a force of the galaxy itself. And the first step into that truth had already begun. The chamber pulsed with energy, the walls alive with light, and every officer aboard the Valerian felt it pressing against them, subtle yet undeniable. The human being, the figure at the center, moved gracefully, each step resonating with quiet authority. Captain Rethan felt a shiver run down his spine. This was no ordinary being. This was the culmination of everything the galaxy had feared. You have questions, the figure said, its voice calm yet powerful, filling the chamber without effort. And answers will be given. But first, you must understand what humanity has become. We are not what you remember. We are beyond conquest, beyond comprehension, beyond fear. Rethan swallowed hard. We only want to understand. The legends spoke of humanity, but no one believed them. The figure tilted its head, almost amused. Belief is for the weak. Understanding is for the prepared. Few are prepared for what lies ahead. With a motion of its hand, the energy lattice shifted, projecting a view of the galaxy as it truly was. Systems lit up, stars blinked in sudden destruction, fleets disintegrated without warning. And through it all, humans moved like shadows, unseen yet unstoppable. Ships that dwarfed empires, weapons that bent the very fabric of space, tactics so precise no army could survive. This, Yara whispered, her voice trembling. All of this, humans did this? The figure nodded. Yes. Every corner of this galaxy that feared our name once, fell. Every empire that dared ignore the warnings, vanished. And yet, we waited, hidden, until the time was right. Until those who had forgotten the power of humanity wandered too close. Rethan's jaw tightened. And now, they have. The human raised its hand, and instantly, one of the smaller ships moved. Not violently, yet, but as if it were a chess piece. It hovered perfectly still, energy pulsing in intricate patterns. Observe, the figure said. You see power. You see control. You see strategy. But even this is only a fraction of what humanity is capable of. The crew watched, transfixed, as the smaller ship split into 2, then 4, then 8, each moving with impossible coordination. Each vessel fired beams of energy at a simulated target. In seconds, entire asteroid fields vanished, vaporized with surgical precision. No explosion, no shockwave, just pure, controlled destruction. Rethan felt his stomach twist. The humans were not just superior. They were untouchable. Not by luck, not by numbers, not by anything the galaxy had ever produced. And this is only the beginning, the figure said softly. We are patient. We wait. We observe. We strike only when necessary. And when we do, no force, no alliance, no legend can stop us. Yara's voice trembled. Captain, we can't fight them. Not even a single human ship could be matched by our fleet. Not even 1,000. Rethan nodded slowly, swallowing the fear rising in his chest. Observation, not engagement. We survive. We report. That is all. The figure stepped closer, energy lines rippling across its armor like living fire. You wonder why the galaxy fears humanity, it said. Now you know. But fear is not our tool. Respect, understanding, these are what matter. The galaxy must remember who we are, even if it is through caution and awe. Then, a shift in the chamber. The energy lattice rearranged itself, forming a massive holographic map. Stars, systems, and fleets glowed with real-time energy signatures. And in the center, a blinking mark, the location of Earth. The source of our legend, the figure said, voice softer now, almost reverent. The beginning and the end. Humanity does not hide because it fears, it waits because it must. And now, the galaxy approaches the edge of its reckoning. Rethan felt his hands tighten around the railing. We barely understand the scale. This changes everything. Indeed, the figure said, taking a step back. You have glimpsed a fraction of what humanity can do. But know this, the universe has not yet seen our true return. And those who challenge us will vanish, as history has always shown. The crew stood frozen. The lessons were clear. Humanity was no myth. Humanity was the apex. And for the first time, Rethan truly understood the weight of the galaxy's whispered warnings. A low vibration ran through the chamber as the figure raised both hands. The energy lattice responded, forming a halo around the human's massive vessel outside. Beams of energy shot out, connecting to the smaller ships. The Valerian's crew could feel it, subtle yet immense. The humans were demonstrating control. Not aggression, not yet, but a command over space, energy, and existence itself. Yara swallowed hard. Captain, we are witnessing something we can't fight. Something we can't even comprehend fully. Rethan's jaw tightened. No. We will survive. We will learn. That is our mission. But, we must remember, humans are not just another power in the galaxy. They are the final word. And their return will shake everything. Outside, the massive vessel rotated slowly, smaller ships orbiting it like loyal sentinels. The Valerian floated in the void, dwarfed and insignificant, yet alive to witness the legend of humanity in its full force. And for the first time, the crew understood a simple, terrifying truth. The map of the galaxy truly ended at humanity's name. The chamber pulsed with a steady hum, vibrating through the floors and walls of the Valerian. Every officer felt it in their bones, a reminder that the humans were not just alive, they were alive and in control. Captain Rethan's eyes stayed locked on the figure at the center, who seemed to radiate power in waves, not just through technology, but through sheer presence. You have seen what we are capable of, the human said calmly. But seeing is not understanding. You must experience it to comprehend fully. Before anyone could react, the lights in the chamber dimmed. Outside, the Valerian sensors detected a massive shift. The smaller human ships had formed a perfect sphere around the massive vessel, energy lines connecting each one in a glowing lattice. Then, with a sudden, almost imperceptible movement, the entire formation surged forward. Captain, they're moving as one. Yara shouted, panic and awe mixing in her voice. It's like a single organism. Rethan gritted his teeth. Maintain stability. Observation only. Do not provoke. The human figure raised a hand, and the sphere of ships pulsed, sending out waves of energy into the void. Asteroids, debris, and even small moons trembled under the invisible force. No heat, no explosion, just an overwhelming sense of control. The Valerian's shield strained, quivering under forces it could barely measure. This is, Yara whispered, eyes wide. This is insane. They aren't just powerful, they're godlike. Correct, the figure said. Power is nothing without precision. Humanity does not destroy blindly. We act with purpose, with intent. Every move calculated. Every outcome anticipated. The crew watched, horrified and mesmerized, as a distant star system lit up on their sensors. Within seconds, the energy from the human formation reached the system. Entire fleets vanished, vaporized before they could fire a single shot. Planets remained untouched, but the sentient forces in the system were erased. Every warship, every defense platform, every signal cut cleanly as if history had been rewritten. Lieutenant Yara's voice trembled. Captain, they just erased an entire fleet without even touching the planets. Rethan's jaw tightened. Observation. We survive. That is all. Remember our mission. The human figure nodded slightly, as if acknowledging his restraint. You will see why we are feared. Why the galaxy whispers our name. Legends do not lie, they merely fail to capture our scale. Then, without warning, one of the smaller ships detached from the formation and approached the Valerian. It moved slowly, deliberately, giving the impression of courtesy. Yet every crew member felt the tension, the immense potential for destruction. The ship's surface shimmered with energy patterns that seemed alive, rippling in response to the Valerian's own systems. It's scanning us, Yara said, voice low. It's measuring everything, our shields, our weapons, even our thoughts. I can feel it probing our minds, Captain. Rethan swallowed hard. Stay calm. Do not react. Let them see we are observant, not aggressive. The ship withdrew, returning to its position in the lattice. The human figure stepped closer. You see now. Humans do not conquer through numbers. We do not rely on luck. We master the galaxy itself, space, energy, time, thought. And any who stand against us will vanish. Rethan's mind raced. Every warning, every whisper about humanity had been true. Every story that painted them as legends or myths had failed to capture the reality. They were unstoppable, untouchable, a force beyond comprehension. Outside, the massive vessel shifted, moving with impossible grace. The smaller ships mirrored its movement perfectly. Even the Valerian, a ship designed for exploration and combat, seemed fragile, insignificant, a toy in comparison. Then, the human figure raised both hands. The energy lattice expanded outward, connecting to distant stars and systems visible through the sensors. A wave of controlled force pulsed through the galaxy, bending space subtly, reordering gravitational fields, and aligning starships in silent, obedient formation. The crew of the Valerian could only stare. Their mission had been exploration, not survival. And yet, here they were, witnessing the full might of humanity. Not a single shot had been fired. No harm intended. Yet the message was clear: humanity ruled the stars not through violence alone, but through mastery of the universe itself. Yara's voice trembled. "Captain, the galaxy. We cannot even comprehend their power. If they wanted, everything we know would vanish." Rethan nodded slowly. "No. We must remember. We survive. We learn. Humanity is not just a civilization. It is the apex. And now, we are witnesses." The human figure lowered its hands. The energy lattice contracted, the smaller ships returning to orbit the massive vessel. The hum that had dominated the Valerian sensors faded slightly, but its presence remained, a constant reminder of power beyond understanding. "You have seen enough," the figure said. "Return to your maps. Return to your records. Tell others what you have witnessed. Let the galaxy remember, the edge of known space ends not with mystery, not with stars, but with humanity. And those who forget will be corrected in time." Rethan exhaled slowly, realizing the truth in the warning. Humanity was not a myth, not a legend, not a forgotten name. They were the final word in the galaxy, a force that had always existed at the edge, waiting for the right moment. And now, the galaxy would never be the same again. The Valerian floated silently in the void, dwarfed by the massive human vessel. The hum of energy still lingered, a subtle reminder that the humans were not merely powerful, they were absolute. Captain Rethan's crew had barely survived the demonstration, and the enormity of what they had witnessed pressed on their minds like gravity. The human figure approached again, moving with a calm that unnerved everyone. Its armor shimmered as if alive, energy flowing along every line, reacting to the presence of the Valerian. The smaller ships hovered closer, forming a perfect semicircle around the human vessel and the explorer's ship. "You have observed our might," the figure said, voice steady, commanding. "But observation is not understanding. You must experience the principle of choice." Rethan furrowed his brow. "Choice?" "Yes," the figure replied. "Every civilization is tested when it encounters us. Some fail. Some survive. Some are granted the opportunity to learn. You now face your trial." The smaller ships pulsed in unison, and suddenly, the Valerian sensors were overwhelmed by an invisible force. The ship's hull groaned as if weighed down by something enormous. Shields flared, energy surged, and the crew struggled to maintain stability. Every instrument displayed data that defied comprehension, forces that bent physics, energy flows that didn't obey conventional rules. What is happening?" Yara shouted. "The trial," Rethan said grimly. "Hold steady. Observation only." Outside, the massive human vessel extended energy tendrils, reaching toward nearby asteroids. With a single motion, they were rearranged, forming a maze of floating rock that shifted and rotated as if alive. The smaller ships zipped through it with impossible speed, moving like predators in a living labyrinth. Then, the figure's voice echoed in the minds of the Valerian's crew. a strange, silent communication. They understood, without words. You must navigate the trial. Your actions will reveal intent, discipline, and courage. Humanity does not conquer blindly. We test before we judge. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Captain Redhon felt every heartbeat, every nerve tense. Prepare navigation. Follow protocols. Do not panic. We survive, we learn. That is all. The trial began. Energy barriers emerged, shimmering walls that could crush or vaporize a ship instantly if crossed. The smaller human ships moved with blinding speed, creating a dynamic obstacle course around the Valerian. Every move the human vessel made was calculated, anticipating even the tiniest reaction from the explorers. Rethan's hands gripped the controls tightly. Steady. Follow the path. Respond only as necessary. Keep shields up. Avoid collision. The Valerian maneuvered through the labyrinth, energy barriers shifting unpredictably. One wrong move could mean instant annihilation. The crew's training was pushed to the limit, every instinct challenged. Yet the humans did not fire. They merely observed, a silent jury judging their courage, skill, and restraint. Captain, they could destroy us in a second, Yara whispered. Why don't they? The human figure's voice resonated again, calm and clear, because destruction is not the goal. Understanding is. Survival, adaptation, intelligence. These are what humanity values. You are being tested not by strength, but by your choices. Minutes felt like hours as the Valerian navigated the trial. Energy pulses, gravitational shifts, and unpredictable obstacles demanded perfect coordination. Every officer's skill, every decision, was scrutinized in ways beyond comprehension. Yet the crew endured. They adapted, survived, and even learned. Finally, the energy barriers dissipated. The smaller ships returned to orbit around the massive vessel, forming their protective lattice once again. The human figure stood calmly, as if expecting their success. You have passed the trial, it said. Not through firepower, not through luck, but through restraint, intelligence, and courage. Many fail. Some perish. Few survive to witness humanity in its true form. You are among the fortunate. Redhon exhaled slowly, relief washing over him, though a new awe replaced fear. Survive, and learn. That is our duty. And we have learned. The figure inclined its head. Good. Remember this, humanity waits, observes, and tests. When the galaxy oversteps its boundaries, it is corrected. When it forgets us, we remind. You have seen a glimpse of our return. You will tell others. But know this, our patience is as vast as the void. Our judgment, precise as light itself. Yara looked at the captain, eyes wide. Captain, this changes everything. The legends, the myths. They were only shadows of the truth. Redhon nodded slowly. Yes. Humanity is not just a story. Not just a warning. It is the apex. And we have witnessed its power firsthand. Outside, the massive human vessel rotated slowly, energy lattice pulsating, smaller ships orbiting like silent guardians. The Valerian floated in the void, dwarfed yet alive to witness the ultimate reminder of the galaxy's edge, the name that ended the map, humanity. And in that moment, the crew understood that everything they had known about the universe, about power, and about survival, had changed forever. The Valerian floated silently in the endless black, dwarfed by the massive human vessel. Captain Rethan's crew still trembled from the trial, though awe had replaced fear. Every officer knew now what the galaxy had whispered for centuries. Humanity was not a myth, not a legend, it was the apex, and their return marked a turning point no one could ignore. The human figure stepped forward, calm and deliberate. Its armor shimmered with energy lines, glowing like the heartbeat of the vessel itself. The smaller ships orbited silently, a lattice of light and precision. You have survived, observed, and endured, the figure said. Now you will understand why humanity waits. Why the galaxy fears our name. and why the map of the stars ends with us. Rethan's voice was steady, though his mind raced. We understand your strength. We've seen your power. But why? Why reveal yourselves now? Why test us? The figure's gaze seemed to pierce his mind. Because the galaxy has grown complacent. Civilizations expand, fight, and forget. Alliances crumble, empires rise, and greed spreads. Humanity does not conquer blindly. We act when the balance is threatened. We return to remind the universe that order must be preserved. A soft hum pulsed through the chamber. The energy lattice outside the ship expanded, connecting to distant systems in the nearby sector. Fleets, planets, and stations were subtly affected, not destroyed, not harmed, but aligned. It was a demonstration of control so absolute, so precise, that it made the Valerian's crew shiver. We shape history, the figure continued. Not through terror, but through inevitability. Those who respect us live. Those who ignore us vanish quietly. This is the law of the stars. Rethan swallowed hard. And Earth. This is where it begins? The figure inclined its head. Yes. Humanity was born here. Humanity waited. Humanity endured. And now, we step back into the galaxy, not as legends, but as arbiters. Not to conquer blindly, but to ensure that no force threatens the balance we've maintained across millennia. The smaller ships pulsed, sending out waves of controlled energy. The Valerian's crew felt it subtly, as though the very fabric of space had shifted. Time and distance seemed to bend around the human vessel. Every officer realized that this power was not just physical, it was strategic, mathematical, and unstoppable. Yara's voice trembled. Captain, the galaxy, none of the alliances, the fleets, the armies, could stop them. Even the largest empires would vanish before their might. Rethan nodded slowly. We've seen it. The legends were true, and yet, they were nothing compared to the reality. The human figure stepped closer. You have witnessed a glimpse of our return. Remember this, humanity does not strike without reason. We do not fight without purpose. But we are inevitable. The galaxy's map ends with our name, and any who challenge that truth will learn why myths exist. Suddenly, the massive vessel shifted. The smaller ships aligned perfectly with it, forming a formation so vast and intricate that it could be mistaken for a starfield. Energy lines shot outward, connecting with distant fleets and systems. A subtle pulse radiated across the sector. It was not destruction, it was command, control, and dominance made visible. Rethan felt the truth pressing down. Humanity was not just a civilization, they were an apex force, a law unto themselves. They waited, observed, judged, and acted with precision that no other species could hope to match. Captain, Yara whispered, voice shaking. We are the first outsiders to see this, the first to survive it. Humanity, they are not here to negotiate. They are here to correct the galaxy. Rethan's eyes narrowed. We report. We survive. We learn. That is all. But, we carry a warning now, and it will be heeded. No empire, no fleet, no civilization will forget this moment. The human figure turned toward the massive vessel's observation window. Return to your people. Tell them what you have witnessed. Let the galaxy remember, the edge of the map is not a mystery. It is humanity. And we will return, always watching, always waiting, always inevitable. The hum began to fade as the smaller ships retreated slightly, maintaining their perfect orbit. The Valerian's crew felt the weight of the human presence lift slightly, though its memory remained, pulsing in every corner of their minds. Rethan exhaled slowly, looking out at the massive human vessel and the smaller ships. The galaxy had changed in an instant. Myths had become reality. Legends had returned. And humanity, quiet, patient, unstoppable, stood ready to reclaim its place among the stars. As the Valerian disengaged from the docking corridor and drifted back into open space, the crew realized that their maps, their charts, their understanding of the universe had all changed. Humanity was no longer a distant story. Humanity was the apex, and the galaxy would never be the same again. For the first time, the crew understood a simple, terrifying truth. The map of the galaxy truly ended at humanity's name. And from now on, every star, every fleet, every civilization would know it.